Jackson dove behind his chopper as bullets tore through his cabin door, wood splinters flying like hornets, and the mountain air filled with the rip of suppressed fire. The chopper's headlight cut through the fog like a blade as he kicked the stand, dragged the chrome-heavy beast by the long handlebars, and used its low frame for cover. "Y'all picked the wrong porch," he growled, voice rough as gravel, eyes flitting to the pine shadows, where 3 masked figures advanced in a staggered fan. Muzzle flashes winked from the tree line, chewing up the porch posts. His scarred leather jacket flapped in the wind. The brim of his dusty cowboy hat tipped low like a shield. He slid, drew 2 shots, quick and tidy, driving the gunman behind a ridge of stacked firewood. A flare rocketed from somewhere yonder, hissed sulfur in the fog, painted his cabin red as a fresh brand. He felt the old burn on his shoulder, phoenix lines under the skin, tighten like a storm-tied knot. A boot crunched gravel behind him. Jackson whipped the long handlebar around, caught the closest mask in the sternum, sent him sprawling. Another stepped out with a short barrel and a radio hiss. "Package under the house. Take 'em alive." "Reckon y'all ain't from around here," Jackson said, firing once, then twice, warning shots to herd, not to harvest. The masked shapes broke, sprinting toward the zigzag road where 2 matte black jeeps idled like patient wolves. He kicked the starter. The chopper thundered awake, chrome and pipes gleaming even in the mist, a mythic ribbon of metal and roar. He launched down the dirt, rear wheel fishtailing, gravel skedaddling from the treads. Pine trees swayed in a cold updraft. Fog pooled on the switchbacks. The mountain road narrowed to a spine over the gorge. Headlight punching the haze, he leaned into a hairpin, the long handlebars like horns, the engine's rumble steady as a heart that refused to quit. The jeeps gave chase, beams jittering, bull bars clipping brush. A third vehicle blocked the bridge, men shouting over radio crackle. "Let that old rider drop," a voice ordered, mean as winter. Jackson feathered the brake, then hammered throttle, front wheel light. He shot past the blocker, mirror scraping steel, sparks skittering like fireflies. A burst of fire chewed the guardrail. A stone the size of a cooler tumbled from the cliff and bounced behind him, shattering into chalk dust. A masked gunman leaped onto the bridge rail, raised a launcher, and the next second the road ahead vanished in a geyser of rock and fog. He cut right, found a narrow elk trail, and dove into the forest, engine low, lights off, pine needles combing his sleeves as the jeeps howled past on the wrecked road. He killed the engine, breath steadying, fog drifting like ghosts between trunks, and listened to the mountain breathe. Pause. A crackle of wind. The wise drawl of a drifter narrator slides in, like midnight coffee. Folks round these parts know 2 truths. These mountains don't forgive, and neither do some men. Jackson, old lone rider, was fixin' to keep to his quiet. Ex-CIA, last of a certain breed. Lost a partner years back on a mission bent sideways by a snake in his own camp. Phoenix ink under his skin and a load of ghosts he never did unload. Yesterday, down in town, he did a small good thing. Bought an outsider gal's day work for $7 at one of those dusty charity auctions where folks bid to help with chores. It was a kindness, not a chain, and he walked away like it didn't matter. But around here, even $7 can strike flint in dry grass. He tucked the chopper behind a fallen pine, wiped mud from the chrome, and listened to night birds argue. Down valley, a siren whined, But that wasn't law. That was theater. He checked his jacket pocket, found the thing the masked runner had dropped on the porch, a stamped brass token, palm warm, etched with a crow and 3 slashes. He recognized the style, a smuggler mark he'd seen off-book in a border town where the wind tasted like diesel and lies. Fog cleared, and his eyes caught the glow of a diner sign through the trees. Delaney's. Half the letters flickered like they were shy. He coasted onto the shoulder, killed the lights, rolled up silent as a coyote. Inside, the Bitterroot's heart beat in neon and bacon grease. May Delaney, mid-60s, hair braided like rope, slid a coffee across the counter the moment he pushed in the door. "Howdy, Jackson," she said, voice gentle as pine smoke. "You look like trouble made you a sandwich." He snorted. "Darn sandwich forgot the bread." He took the corner booth. Chrome napkin holder mirrored the lines in his face. Behind the counter, May's eyes flicked toward a radio under the pie case. A red light blinked. 3 beats, then 2. "Town's been hootin' and hollerin' about you," she said softly. 50 folks gathered at the Grange, stirred up by some fella with a preacher's tone and a soldier's boots. Preacher wearing a mask? Not tonight, but he's got masked boys doing the wrangling. The bell over the door chimed. The outsider gal stepped in, wind-pink cheeks, a gray beanie damp with fog. Early 20s, sure-footed, eyes sharp. A traveler, not a stray. She found him without looking. "Name's Wren," she said, standing, hands out to show empty palms. "Yesterday you bought my day at that auction, $7. Today they put a target on your home." "That tracked?" She nodded. "They were watching me. Figured you were my contact. I tried to warn you, buddy, but the valley ain't fond of outsiders talking fast." "Who's they?" "Crow's Ladder, cross-border smugglers. Old CIA tech changed hands years back. Somebody wants the key that turned it on. Word is, the key's under your cabin." His jaw tightened, past and present braided like barbed wire. May set down a plate of pie, but her fingers trembled. "Jackson," she murmured. "Fella came by this afternoon. Said if I didn't pass along your location, bad things might mosey my way. I didn't tell him nothing, but..." He lifted his cup, sniffed. Coffee and maple. Something else. "May." She looked ashamed. "They made me set a tracker under the sugar tin. I'm sorry, honey. They got my grandbaby's address." He nodded, forgiving without saying it. Everybody's got a hook in their hide. "Wren," he said, "tell me why that key's under my floor." "Because your partner put it there, before he died." The room went quiet enough to hear the clock chewing seconds. The windows rattled as a convoy rolled past, engines low, and a voice on a loudspeaker drawled, "Jackson Ryder, step on out. Town wants a word." 50 townsfolk lanterns bobbed beyond the glass, mixed with masked silhouettes in their midst like wolves among cattle. May whispered, "They got you boxed, sweetheart." Jackson stood and thumbed the brim of his hat, eyes on the pine dark beyond the fluorescence. "Reckon I'll say my word back," he said, rolling his shoulders, the phoenix under his skin warming like an ember. They walked out together, Jackson, Wren, May at his elbow, into a lot washed in lantern amber and exhaust. The chopper's chrome gleamed under the diner neon. The engine ticked like a big cat asleep and dreaming. A man stepped forward from the crowd, a face the valley would trust if it didn't know better. Long coat, clean boots, eyes like iced gravel. "Howdy, folks," he called, preacher smooth. "This old rider bought a stranger yesterday for $7. Ain't that a hoot? Today she brought wolves to our door." Murmurs, angry and frightened, ran through the 50 like wind through grass. "Name your business," Jackson said evenly. "Same as yours, years back," the man replied, removing a glove with a polite snap. "National security, old toys, new hands." He smiled then, and the smile broke the disguise. Jackson saw him as he was, the ghost he had buried. "Cole Maddox," Jackson said, throat dry as a creek bed in August. "The betrayer, the partner who died, and hadn't." "Rumors of my demise," Cole said, "were a darn convenience, for both of us." He gestured and masked men nudged lanterns into a circle, bunching townsfolk closer like a corral. "Under your cabin is a cave," Cole continued, "and in that cave, our little phoenix. Back then, we called it the AURORA seed. It listens to one man's heat map. Yours. Funny tattoo you got, buddy." He tipped his chin toward Jackson's shoulder. "Turn it over," Cole said, "and the town goes home. I ain't here to hurt 'em. I just need my device." Wren stepped forward. "You mean your smuggling network. Needs a quantum decoy anchor so you can vanish shipments off satellites." Cole clicked his tongue. "Sharp gal. You're fixing to talk yourself into trouble." He looked back at the crowd, voice booming. "Folks, this outsider is your trouble. $7 bought a snake in a sack. I'm here to pull it out." Jackson raised his hands. "Neighbors," he called, voice calm. "I didn't buy a person. I paid $7 at a charity auction so a traveler could get legal day work and a warm meal. That's all." He pointed at Cole. "These boys put masks on to make you scared, then sold you a story. Ask yourself why they need the dark." A rancher in the front shifted, uneasy. Lantern light showed a wedding ring glint. "We just don't want trouble, Ryder." "I reckon trouble found us anyway," Jackson said. Cole's patience cooled. "Enough sermon." He gestured. The masked ring tightened. Jackson breathed once, and the mountain breathed with him. He felt the chopper at his back like a loyal hound. He saw the alley by the propane tanks. He counted exits and hearts. A masked man lunged for Wren. May cracked a skillet across his wrist with a clang that rang like church brass. The lanterns scattered, and everything went night and shouting. Jackson kicked the chopper alive. The roar boomed. Light exploded from the headlamp. He fishtailed gravel into the masked men, sent them skidding. "On!" he barked. Wren swung onto the pillion, arms tight around the sissy bar, boots planted wide. May pointed down canyon. "Bridge is out. Take the logging road above the gorge." Cole's voice behind them. "Bring me Ryder's cave." They ripped from the lot, tires screaming, neon smearing in the fog. Pine boughs blurred, icy stars blinked through torn cloud. The long bars of the chopper cut the air like antlers lowering for a charge. Up ahead, the mountain road kinked into a mean little switchback with a rock slide licking its chops. Jeep lights blossomed in the mirror. "Hold tight," Jackson said. "Wasn't planning to knit," Wren shot back, defiant. They hit the switchback hard, the frame humming, pebbles spitting. He dumped speed, dropped a gear, and threaded a space between boulders no wider than a handshake. The Jeep behind fishtailed, kissed stone, and stalled, horn braying like a mad bull. He took the logging spur, a rib of dirt hugging black air, and the chopper's headlight carved a tunnel through mist. Far below, the river yowled over stones. Far above, a cliff held its breath. From the dark ahead, a dangling steel cable hissed like a rattler, swung low across the track at neck height. He dropped flat, long bars wobbling, and the cable sang over his hat brim. "Darn," he muttered, heart thudding. He braked to a crawl, eased around, and rolled into a dry creek bed, now running white with fog. Behind them, distant, the valley lanterns regrouped and Cole's men fanned into the trees. Dawn smudged the peaks with ash blue as they coasted back toward the cabin, taking the deer path like a whispered secret. Frost silvered the grass. Smoke scars blackened the porch. A bullet had split the rocking chair. Jackson parked the chopper under the eave where the chrome could catch a sliver of morning sun, like a promise that machines, at least, told the truth. He lifted the hatch in the pantry, revealing a crawl space framed by old planks and river stones. Cool draft, faint as a sigh. "May ever tell you about this?" Wren asked, crouching. "May knows where all the bones are buried," he said, easing down. "She just ain't the burying kind." The crawl space dropped to a limestone throat, slick as otter fur, that fed into a cave shaped like a lung. He knew the twists. Muscle memory mapped them. At the heart, a fist of rock bristled with a metal node, no bigger than a deck of cards, sealed under old epoxy. AURORA. He felt the tattoo prickle. Subdermal lines caught the device's hush, like tuning forks singing to each other. "It wakes to you," Wren breathed. "Only the heat map in your shoulder opens it. Cole can't fake that." "Won't stop him trying," Jackson said. He placed his palm on the faceplate and felt a slow, deliberate click, familiar as a ghost handshake. Panels parted like shy lips. A pearl-gray core blinked awake, throwing lattice shadows over the cave walls. Maps scrolled in the air like mist caught in sunlight. Shipment routes flickering, false satellites, ghost codes. "Dang," Wren whispered. "That's not just a decoy anchor, it's a ledger. Every dirty trade crow's ladder laundered." "Enough to turn 'em inside out," Jackson said. A chime echoed through the cave, gentle as a bell on a grazing mare. He frowned. "That ain't mine." Wren's face drew tight. "They tagged May's place when I arrived. If they followed the chopper's night trail..." He killed the display. Darkness flowed back like water. He sealed the node and tucked the portable core into his jacket. Time to finish the circle. They climbed out to the pantry light. May stood at the door, hair wind-blown, breath smoking in the cold. "Should have guessed you'd crawl into that mountain," she said, proud and worried at once. Then her eyes flicked to the tree line. "Riders," she said quietly. "More than a handful." Engines murmured. Metal clinked. Cole had brought a proper visit. "May," Jackson said, "I'm asking you to do something you won't like. Walk down to the Grange. Tell the valley to stand aside. I'm going to deal with Cole on my dirt, and I ain't going to make bodies if I can help it." May squared her shoulders. "I lost a boy to a white drift that didn't care his name. I ain't losing another neighbor to men who pretend they do. I'll go." She squeezed his arm, then Wren's hand, and set off down the trail, brave and small against the big, green world. A bullhorn split the morning. "Ryder, you bring me the Phoenix, or I bring fire to your roof." Jackson glanced at the chopper. Chrome threw a fierce little sunrise against the eaves. "What he did next," the narrator murmurs, "shocked the whole valley." He rolled the chopper into the yard, propped it facing the mouth of the driveway like a knight's lance parked in armor. He took off his hat, set it on the seat, and stepped into the road with his hands up, jacket open. Cole stood from the lead truck, flanked by masked men, and the same ranchers and shopkeepers who should have been home mending fences. "Morning, partner," Cole said. "Hand me that core." Jackson nodded at the crowd. "They ain't your shield." Cole smiled thin. "They're my choir." Then listen close, Jackson said. I'm gonna sing. He turned, pressed the starter on the chopper, and the engine woke the valley, a rolling thunder that crawled under ribs and made cows twitch in far fields. He flicked the throttle to a steady purr, walked to the porch, and raised the portable core. "Folks," he called, voice carrying. "This little gray pebble holds names and roots and bank veins. If coal takes it, the valley keeps getting squeezed like a lemon at a church picnic. If I turn it on in broadcast, satellites will drink it and spit it to every badge from here to the ocean. That'll bring more boots than y'all want on these roads. I don't aim to do either." Cole's eye ticked. "You talk too much." "Always did," Jackson said. "But today I brought a chorus." May's voice rose behind the crowd. She'd come back, fearless as ever, joined by a dozen townsfolk who'd peeled away from Cole's ring. "We don't want your war," she said. "We want our home." Rancher with the wedding ring stepped back from Cole's shoulder. 3 more men lowered their rifles, shame burning like sunrise on their faces. Cole hissed, patience snapping. "Enough." He raised a hand. Shots cracked, dust leapt from the porch rail. Wren yanked Jackson down. The core tumbled, skittered across the step toward the idling chopper. Cole lunged. A masked man dove. Jackson rolled and grabbed the core mid-bounce, came up on one knee, and the phoenix burned under his skin like a forge. He slapped the core to the chopper's tank, magnet kissing steel, and the device drank the engine's vibration like a hymn. The headlamp strobed, 1 long, 2 short, the same code his partner used to tap in hotel lobbies long ago. For a heartbeat, the past wasn't a wound. It was a bridge. He thumbed a hidden kill switch on the handlebar he'd welded years back for a rainy day. "Ride, old buddy," he whispered. The chopper leapt forward riderless, engine bellowing, long bars yawing like steer horns as it charged. Down the driveway, men scattered, shouting. Cole stared, startled at the absurd glory of a chrome beast gone wild. It carved a perfect arc and slammed into the lead truck's bull bar. Metal screamed, radiator burst, steam chased fog into the pines. Jackson sprinted, Wren on his flank, using the chaos like a curtain. He reached the truck bed, vaulted, and brought his heel down on a masked shooter's wrist. Clean, decisive. "Quit now," he barked, "or next time I ain't gentle." The man froze, nodded, tossed his gun. Cole backed toward the trees. Eyes on the core still clung to the chopper's dented tank. "Cole," Jackson called, "you were supposed to die a hero. You chose the other road." Cole laughed, small and mean. "Heroes get graves. I prefer gates." He raised a compact launcher. A flash snapped the morning. The launcher barked. The device on the tank flared white. The world went quiet, like a snowfield before an avalanche. Then the flare collapsed to a soft glow, humming like a beehive in June. Cole blinked. "What?" Wren grinned. "Aurora just ate your detonator, buddy. It loves hungry signals." Jackson moved, quick as a spring cattle snake, closed the distance, and dropped Cole with 2 precise strikes, jaw, solar plexus, measured mercy, not malice. Cole's knees hit dirt. "Darn fool thing about gates," Jackson said, breathing hard. "They swing both ways." He turned to the valley crowd. "Y'all go on home," he said, voice low but carrying. "This ends here." Nobody argued. Lanterns dimmed, boots shuffled. A dozen masks hit the ground like molted skins. May stood near the porch, eyes wet, skillet still in hand like a badge. "Jackson," she said, "you done good, honey." He nodded once, the compliment heavier than any medal. They hauled Cole to the cave, hands bound, pride worse off, past the pantry hatch and into the limestone lung that had kept too many secrets. Jackson rested the core on the stone heart. The phoenix under his skin sat warm and watchful. "This valley deserves quiet," he said, "not a parade of sirens." Wren, solemn now, asked, "What do you reckon?" He thumbed the core awake, maps unfurled like ribbons. The ledger's arteries pulsed. "Not broadcast, not hoard. We cut their spine and leave their names where law can find 'em, without dragging half the state up these roads." He slid a drive from his jacket. Old tech, pure and stubborn. Aurora wrote, soft as falling ash. He watched the progress bar like an old friend walking up the path. When it was done, he set the core one last time in his palm. "Buddy," he whispered to the absent partner, "time to sleep." He found the primer and keyed the self-scramble. A controlled burn, no bang, just a quiet unknitting of smart threads. The device glowed, then cooled. Wren looked at him, understanding. "You destroyed it." "Saved the valley from what it would have brought," he said. "Some fires ain't for warming." They climbed up into noon. May poured 3 coffees on the porch. Steam curled into the cold sun. In the yard, the chopper, bent, scuffed, still beautiful, caught a shard of light and threw it across the grass like a coin for luck. "What now?" Wren asked, sitting on the step, chin on knees. "You got someplace yonder to be?" Jackson asked. "Got folks who ain't my folks," she said. "Got work that might save someone from getting squeezed again." He nodded. "Town'll forget you if you let 'em, but I won't." She smiled, a little sad, a little proud. May set a hand on his shoulder. "You sure you'll be all right up here, sweetheart?" "Been all right before," he said. "Reckon I'll be all right again." Down valley. A wind shifted. Ravens spiraled over the Grange Hall, curious and done. They loaded coal into a ranger's rig, come quiet by a back road. No sirens, no speeches. The ledger packet, names, routes, accounts, rode shotgun in May's pie tin, covered with a red checkered towel like a secret cinnamon roll. Wren strapped on a canvas pack and squared to the road. "Thanks for the $7," she said. "Wasn't charity," he said. "Just a nudge to kinder ground." "You gonna keep riding?" He glanced at the chopper, its long handlebars like a bull that had seen the worst and kept chewing grass. "Yeah," he said, "but mostly I'm gonna keep sitting still." As Wren headed out, the phoenix lines on his shoulder pulsed, faint, then gone, like a coal deciding whether to die or to glow. He tugged his sleeve down, smiled at nothing in particular, and set his hat back on his head. That night, the Bitterroot Valley breathed easy. Pine silhouettes leaned like old friends. Snow-capped teeth bit into a blue-black sky scattered with sparks. Jackson tuned the chopper by lantern light, engine purring like a big cat that knew his name. He looked at the mountains and the little cabin and the place under it where secrets had finally agreed to rest. What he did next, the narrator says, voice low and warm, shocked the whole valley. He rebuilt the bridge rail his own bullets had nicked. He dropped 2 cord of wood at May's without a note. He left a roll of cash in the church poor box with a line, "For any outsider who needs a day's work." He rode to the ridge at dawn, chrome throwing pink fire, and watched light walk down the trees like mercy. And just when he figured the chapter had closed, a coyote yipped from the far draw, and his phone, old, stubborn, buzzed once with an unknown number. A single text. "The Phoenix isn't done. Check your mailbox." A friend. He lifted his gaze toward the peaks, and the tattoo, just for a heartbeat, warmed again. He laughed, soft and tired. Reckon a man can rest and still keep his boots. Nearby, he turned to the lens we're all listening through and tipped his hat with 2 fingers. Folks, if y'all felt the wind shift today, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. These peaks got more shadows lurking, and I figure we'll light 'em together. Till next ride. Fade on the chopper's idle, a long, steady promise in chrome and fog.